My phone buzzed with a message from my husband. It said, "Can you lock the door?" I actually smiled softly then because he always feared for me, always worried about my safety. But then I stopped, suddenly cold. My smile vanished without any warning. My husband was flying high above, 30,000 feet in the air with his phone completely powered off. So, who was texting me from his number inside my own house right then? Make sure you subscribe right now and comment where you're watching from because what happened next still keeps me awake late at night. My name is E. Grant, and I never imagined something so small as a single text message could change the way I saw my entire life, my marriage, and even my own home. It was a quiet Thursday night, calm and ordinary, the kind where nothing ever feels dangerous. My husband Mason had left earlier that evening on a business trip. He kissed me goodbye at the airport drop off, told me he'd text me when he landed, and promised he would try to sleep on the plane during flight. It was all so normal, the kind of routine we had repeated many times before. When I came back home alone, I changed into my pajamas, made a warm cup of tea, and curled up quietly on the couch. I had just started a movie when my mom called to check in. She always got nervous when Mason was traveling, especially since we had gone through a difficult time recently together. I told her I was fine, reminded her we lived in a safe neighborhood, and promised I had locked every door. She finally relaxed, told me she loved me, and said goodnight softly. For the first hour, the house felt completely peaceful. The sound of rain outside felt calming. I wasn't scared at all. I felt safe inside. I even remember thinking how nice it was to finally have a quiet evening alone. I sent Mason one last message before takeoff. It said, "I love you. Text me when you land." I put my phone face down on the coffee table and focused on the movie. About 45 minutes later, I heard the soft vibration of my phone. I assumed it was my husband letting me know the plane had taken off, or he had Wi Fi on board. Without looking up, I reached for my phone and smiled as I unlocked it. That was the last normal moment I had that night. The message on my screen said, "Can you lock the back door?" At first, I didn't think anything strange about it. Mason always asked me things like that. He worried about me being alone. I even smiled and typed back, "Already locked. Don't stress." I was about to hit send when I realized something. My thumb froze there in midair. Mason's plane had taken off 45 minutes ago. We had specifically talked about the fact that once he was in the air, his phone would be off. He wouldn't have Wi Fi until well into the flight. And even if he did, why would he worry about the back door 30,000 feet in the air? Slowly, I lowered my phone and turned my head toward the hallway leading to the back. The back door was already locked. I had checked it twice, but now I couldn't stop staring in that direction endlessly. A strange feeling crept inside. Not panic, not yet though. Just confusion mixed with weight, like a warning I couldn't hear clearly, but could feel. That's when another vibration buzzed against my shaking hand suddenly. "Please lock it now. Don't ask questions right now." My breathing changed instantly. I looked around the room, suddenly aware of every shadow nearby. I typed one sentence without thinking. "Mason, are you texting me from the plane right now?" This time, there was no reply at all. I stood up carefully, phone still held, and stepped toward the hallway. Each step echoed far too loudly against wooden floors. A part of me kept trying to rationalize everything happening. Maybe he had Wi Fi on board. Maybe it was scheduled somehow. Maybe I had forgotten something. But deep down, my body already knew the truth before my mind accepted it. When I reached hallway's end, I stopped completely still. The back door was closed, perfectly still. I reached out slowly and touched the lock gently. It was secure and firm. Then my phone buzzed again loudly. This time, the message made my blood run cold. "Thank you. He's already inside." My heart dropped instantly hard. The phone nearly slipped free. There was only one thought left. I was not alone. My lungs tightened painfully as I stared at the message, my mind spinning far too fast to think straight. "He's already inside." Those three words didn't just scare me deeply, they paralyzed me completely. I felt a rush of cold move through my body quickly. As every instinct I had screamed this was not a joke, not a misunderstanding, not something I could rationalize away, I forced myself to swallow hard and turn around slowly, afraid that if I moved quickly, I would alert whoever lurked. The house was silent, too silent to feel empty. The kind of silence that feels occupied instead. My heart thudded hard in my chest, not in fear, but warning. Whoever had sent that message wasn't trying to scare me. They were trying to warn me, which meant one terrifying thing. Whoever was inside my house wasn't just hiding. They were hunting me now. I felt the urge to run fast, but my feet wouldn't move. I needed information desperately. I needed to see unseen. I crept backward toward the kitchen where I knew there was a drawer holding supplies. The only sound was refrigerator buzzing until suddenly it wasn't. It stopped abruptly. The hum of electricity cut out instantly. The refrigerator turned off completely. The heater stopped without warning. The digital clock went dark. The house lost all power. And with that, all noise died. My breath caught as dread flooded me entirely. That wasn't an outage at all. Wasn't an outage at all. Someone had cut the power. Fear tried taking over, but some part of me, instinct or survival, pushed back. Think. Do not freeze now. I reached for the drawer slowly, carefully, trying not to make noise, but before my fingers touched, my phone buzzed once more. The message wasn't from Mason's number anymore. It was from an unknown number, just 3 words only. Do not hide. I felt tears sting sharply, not from sadness, but terrible realization dawning fully. Someone was not only inside my home, they could see me. They were watching me live. They were watching me live. I didn't know whether to obey the message or resist. I stood perfectly still, every sense heightened as I tried detecting the slightest movement in the air. Then I heard it, a slow, deliberate creaking coming from upstairs. I looked toward the staircase ahead. It was dark and unwelcoming, shadows stretching down the steps below like reaching hands grasping toward me. Another step followed, slow and measured. Whoever was up there clearly wasn't trying to stay silent. They wanted me to hear them, as if announcing their arrival. Panic surged sharply through me, but I forced myself backward quietly until my hand found the kitchen counter edge, and I grabbed the heaviest thing nearby, Mason's metal thermos bottle, and gripped it tightly. My phone buzzed again suddenly. This time, the message almost made me drop it. Go to the front door. Do not look upstairs. So my mouth went completely dry. This wasn't a taunt. It was a direction given, a command meant to keep me alive, which meant someone else was watching too. Someone on my side. But who were they, and how did they know everything happening? Second by second, I moved toward the front hallway, stepping as lightly as possible, never taking my eyes away from the staircase behind. Every hair on my arm stood up as I neared the door. My mind flashed unwanted thoughts rapidly. What if the intruder waited right behind it? What if I unlocked it and let in worse? But before I could decide, a loud thud came from upstairs, then another crash. It sounded like furniture shoved aside. A dragging noise followed after. My whole body trembled violently. The noise wasn't random movement. It was moving closer now, toward the top stairs. I could almost picture someone standing above, knowing I was frozen below. My instincts screamed to run outside, but fear held me. My phone buzzed again urgently. Now I lunged toward the front door fast, turned the lock, and yanked it open. A rush of cold night air struck my face hard. I stepped back in shock. No one was there waiting. No neighbors, no police lights, just darkness and silent street. My heart pounded in my ears as I stood frozen. 1 foot inside, 1 foot out. And then just as I was about to step outside, I heard a whisper behind me from upstairs. Isa! It was my husband's voice, but Mason was 30,000 FT in the air, and his voice called from inside. The sound of my husband's voice upstairs froze me completely so deeply that breathing felt dangerous. It wasn't distant or muffled imitation. It was exact. His voice the same tone he used casually, calling me from the kitchen before. Calm and casual, but in this moment it sounded terrifying. So wrong my body reacted before my mind could. I stepped back inside and shut the front door unconsciously, as if shielding myself from outside when the real threat waited inside. My phone buzzed again. A new text from Mason's number appeared. Do not answer him. That's not me. My chest tightened painfully. The voice upstairs called again. Isa, come here. Hurry. This time it sounded sharper. It sounded sharp. No warmth remained. I looked up the stairs, but darkness swallowed everything past the 6th step. My hands shook so badly the phone nearly slipped away. My instincts split in two. One screamed, run outside forever. The other held me frozen, demanding answers. Why was someone mimicking my husband so perfectly? How did they know his exact tone, exact mannerisms? Unless it was him somehow, could he have left the flight? Could something terrible have happened on board? My thoughts swirled wildly as the voice grew impatient. Deeper now, like someone struggling to keep control. Isa, I said, come here. I took a single slow step back toward the kitchen, choosing distance, choosing caution. The phone buzzed once more, but this time it wasn't a text. It was a video call incoming. My heart nearly collapsed when I saw Mason's face appear on screen live. He was clearly on the plane, the background showing rows of seats, his face tense but composed. Listen to me, he said in a low voice. Do not respond out loud. Just nod if you can hear me. I nodded slowly, my eyes filling with tears. Not from sadness, but sheer relief that this was really him. Mason continued, voice urgent. There is someone in the house. He knows me. He knows everything about us. He is using my voice. He wants you to come to him. I swallowed hard and whispered, how is he doing that? Mason looked to the side nervously before replying, because he is my brother. My legs almost gave out beneath me. Mason's brother, Dylan, the one I had never met, the one Mason had told me years ago, was no longer part of the family after disappearing from their lives. Mason had only spoken of him twice, both times with pain in his eyes. He had assumed Dylan had cut all ties and moved on, but he hadn't. He had been watching, listening, studying silently. Mason glanced off screen again and spoke quickly. He knows my voice because we sound almost identical. When we were kids, even our mother couldn't tell us apart on the phone. And Isa, he blames me for everything. I don't know how he got in, but you need to be silent and stay out of sight. He will use my voice to make you trust him. My skin prickled everywhere. Every part of me wanted to fall apart, but I forced myself to focus. This wasn't just an intruder. This was someone who knew our lives deeply enough to manipulate every memory, every instinct. Mason leaned closer to the camera. His voice dropped lower. He wants you to walk upstairs because he thinks you'll follow me. But you are not following me. You are walking into his trap. At that exact moment, the footsteps from upstairs started again, this time descending slow, heavy. My breath caught in my throat. Mason saw the fear in my eyes and said, I cannot let him see you. Go to the basement now. There's something there I left in case this ever happened. It's behind the water heater. I blinked in confusion. You knew this could happen. Mason's face filled with regret. I hoped it never would. Please trust me. Go. The footsteps reached the midpoint of the staircase. I could now see the silhouette of a man. His hand gripped the railing the same way Mason did. My heart almost betrayed me in that moment. Everything in me screamed that this was my husband, that his voice, his shape, his presence was familiar and safe. But then he spoke again, and this time the voice slipped. The tone changed, cold, almost mocking. Issa, come here. Don't make me come find you. It was Mason's voice, but with something hidden beneath it, something rotten, something cruel. I took a step sideways instead of forward, keeping my eyes locked on the figure. Then, holding my breath tight, I moved toward the basement door. The man on the stairs went still. I could feel his eyes tracking my movement, though I still couldn't see his face. Silent tension filled the air like a held breath. I reached the basement door, gripping the handle tightly. The phone was still in my other hand. Mason hurriedly said, Go now and lock the door behind you tightly. Without giving myself time to second guesses, I opened the door, stepped inside, and pulled it shut just as the footsteps quickened fast behind me. The handle rattled violently a second later. Then a voice on the other side spoke. Mason's voice, soft and gentle again, said, Why are you hiding from me? My hand tightened on the lock, but I didn't answer back. Because I finally understood something. I wasn't hiding from my husband. I was hiding from a copy of him built from pure hatred. The moment I locked the basement door behind me, the handle jerked violently as the intruder slammed hard against it. Each hit sending vibrations through the thin wood straight into my hands. His voice came again, still Mason's tone, but twisted now with frustration. Open the door. You're scaring me, he said softly, mimicking concern so perfectly that for one split second, my body almost reacted with empathy. But then the fake warmth vanished, and his next words dripped with quiet rage. Don't make me break this door down. We both know how this ends. My heart hammered, but I didn't freeze. I turned and hurried deeper into the basement, my breathing shallow yet controlled. It was dark, lit only by the weak emergency bulb Mason had installed months ago after a storm outage. The space felt unfamiliar now, like walking into a tunnel I'd never seen inside my home. I reached the water heater and dropped down, frantically feeling around the back. Exactly as Mason had instructed earlier, my finger struck something cold and metallic. A locked steel box bolted firmly to the wall. My phone buzzed in my hand. Mason's voice came through the video call. Urgent and quiet. There's a keypad on the side. The code is your birthday backwards. I found the keypad quickly, my fingers trembling as I typed the date. The lock clicked open. Inside sat a small black device, a flash drive, and a folded piece of paper with my name written there in Mason's handwriting. I unfolded the paper with shaking hands and read, "If you are reading this, Dylan has found us. This device is the only thing that can expose him. Plug it into your phone and do not stop recording." My hands felt like ice. For years, Mason had feared this moment. He didn't just prepare. It was like he lived waiting for it. Before I could react, the basement door above burst open loud, with splintering from the force. Heavy footsteps pounded down the stairs. The air shifted sharply. I plugged the device into my phone as Mason instructed, and instantly a video file appeared with a live recording interface. Mason spoke through the call, his voice rough with emotion. "He's not coming for you to kill you," Mason said. "He's coming to make you disappear. He wants to take my life, my name, my family. You're the last piece he needs to erase me." I activated the recording. A live waveform glowed on my screen, detecting every sound nearby. As I stood, flashlight in one hand and phone in the other, the intruder reached the bottom of the stairs. For the first time, I saw his face clearly. It was like looking at Mason. Same eyes, same jawline, but colder, harder, filled with something feral. His stare held no humanity, only possession. His lips curled into a chilling smile. "There you are," he said in a soft, pleased tone, like he had found something owned. I raised the phone. "This is recording," I warned. "Whatever you do or say is being tracked now." The smile faded. His eyes flickered, not fear but recognition. He took one step forward, and in a voice no longer Mason's, he said, "That won't save you." But Mason had been right. As soon as the device activated, the basement lights flickered and a low beeping echoed from the intruder's pocket. His eyes widened. The device wasn't just recording, it was pinging his location now. A soft tone came from the phone, followed by Mason's pre-recorded voice. "Dylan Holt, this is evidence of your violation under federal code. Your biometric signature is now logged." Dylan lunged forward, his expression twisting with rage I'd never seen. But I stepped back and held my phone like a shield. "They're coming," I told him. "It's over." He stopped mid-step, chest rising and falling with angry breaths. For the first time, he looked unsure. Then, in a voice cold as ice, he said, "You think I'm the only one?" A crash sounded above us. My brother Caleb's voice booming as he shouted commands. Red and blue lights flashed through the tiny basement window. Dylan looked at the stairs, then back at me. For a second, I saw something flicker in his eyes. Hate, yes, but also a strange kind of sorrow, as if this moment had been inevitable long before I ever knew he existed. Then he turned suddenly and ran up the stairs fast, just as officers stormed inside after him immediately. I stood frozen in place there, the recording still active, the device solid and heavy in my hand. And in that moment, I understood something with painful clarity. This wasn't the end of a nightmare. It was the beginning of a truth that had been buried years, one someone was willing to kill fiercely to protect, and I had just uncovered. The moment Dylan ran up the stairs and disappeared through the doorway with officers in pursuit, the tension in my body finally snapped, and I dropped to my knees on the cold concrete floor of the basement. I was shaking uncontrollably, not only from fear, but from realizing the life I knew hours ago was gone forever. I wasn't a wife waiting for my husband to land anymore. I was the key witness in something far more terrifying and deeply personal than imagined. The basement, once holding old holiday decorations and boxes of memories, had transformed into the place where I discovered the truth about the man trying to steal my life. Above me, heavy footsteps, shouting voices, and the rapid thud of boots echoed through the house as officers secured every room. Within minutes, my brother Caleb appeared in the doorway, chest rising and falling fast, eyes searching the darkness until finding me. He rushed down the stairs, wrapped his arms around me, and held me tightly there. For a moment, I let myself sink into safety, the reassurance I survived what could have been my last night. But even in that embrace, my eyes drifted to the phone, still recording in my hand, the device Mason hid, the proof Mason left behind, the undeniable reality none of this was over. Caleb guided me upstairs as paramedics and officers filled our home. The silence of the night was replaced by radios crackling, evidence bags labeled, neighbors watching from across the street wide-eyed. Outside, police cars cast waves of red and blue light across the wet pavement. The air felt cold against my skin. I stood under a blanket a paramedic wrapped around me and watched officers search nearby woods with flashlights. Dylan had escaped. They confirmed he fled on foot before the perimeter was fully secured. A female officer approached gently and asked me to recount everything happened. As I spoke, I realized I wasn't trembling anymore. My voice was steady, controlled. It wasn't because I wasn't afraid. It was because I finally understood what was at stake and fear became resolve. This was no longer one night of terror. This was about my identity, my marriage, and the truth kept from me too long. When officers finished taking my statement, they stepped aside, letting my phone reconnect to the video call. Mason's face reappeared on screen. Trent. His eyes were red, not from crying, but helplessness knowing his brother came after me while he was trapped miles above. The moment our eyes met through the screen, something passed between us, an understanding that everything about our future would be built on what we did next, not the past. "I'm coming home," he said quietly. "And when I do, I won't just explain everything. We're going to end this." I nodded. There was no anger left inside me, only purpose. I wasn't going to live in fear or let someone else write my story. As dawn approached, flashing lights finally dimmed and officers began to leave. My mother arrived, tears streaming as she held me, whispering prayers of gratitude that I was alive. Caleb stayed beside me, hand on my shoulder, not just brotherly comfort, but an officer promising justice. And though the house was declared temporarily unsafe, and though I knew the man pretending to be my husband was still out there, I felt something powerful rising inside. This wasn't just survival. It was the beginning of reclaiming my life, identity, and truth. As the sun rose over my street and the last police car drove away, I looked into the camera of my phone and spoke not just for myself, but for anyone who has ever felt powerless in their own home. I said, "Someone tried to replace my reality tonight, but I am still here and I am not done because this story doesn't end with fear. It begins with truth and I am ready to uncover everything." If this story had you on the edge of your seat and you want to know what happens next, make sure you subscribe right now and comment where you're watching from, because the hunt for the truth has just begun and you need to be here when the next chapter drops.